Hello everybody and welcome to Film Freaks Podcast, the latest form of cinephile entertainment for all you movie lovers out there, where me, Tyler from CaliCriticReviews, and another film fanatic break down the latest week in movies every week. Whether it's the biggest news that have come out from movies in development and so forth, the newest trailers, and the latest releases to hit theaters, we cover all of them here. And joining me today for this episode is one of YouTube's best movie critics. He's really rising high. In fact, he passed 10,000 subscribers about a week or so, or two, something like that. And that is Mr. Chris Stuckmann.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me, Tyler. I'm glad to be here. I'm very happy to be here on your podcast. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome, and thanks again for coming on. And if you're new to the show, the way that we break down the show, we have it into 3 segments. Well, typically 4, but the one that we had last week, which was the Film Freak Sneak Peek, that's been taken out because that's only a recurring segment. But this week, we have the usual, the Hollywood 3, which is the 3 biggest news stories to break out in the past week. Trailer Talk, which we break down several of the biggest trailers to release in the past week. And then we're going to finish it off with Rate the Release, which we review the latest theatrical releases to release on Friday and going through the weekend and so forth. And those will be The Dictator and Battleship. But to get this started, we're going to start with the Hollywood 3, which are the biggest news stories to have come out. And the first one of that is that set photos have been released from Taken 2, the sequel to the highly successful action movie from 2009 that starred Liam Neeson and really propelled him to new heights in his career because it really brought him back into that badass regime that he had in a lot of characters he played before. Now, I really like the first Taken, of course, and with these new set photos, they intrigue me a little bit, but the problem with them is that lingering in the back of my mind is that they're kind of doing this for money, as I can see, and also it's not helping much when you have the director of Columbiana and Transporter 3 behind it.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. It was funny because the other day I was thinking about, I saw Battleship, and we'll talk about that later, but Liam Neeson was in it, and I was like, when exactly did he get that whole, butt-kicking thing? It was really just Taken. It was only a few years ago, but now it seems like that is him now. And
I know.
And it's funny because, he was pretty well known all the way back from Schindler's List. But anyway, I really liked Taken. I thought it was a really fun action movie, and it had a good central character. And when I heard that Taken 2 was being made before they even announced who the director was going to be, I was like, really? Like, it just doesn't seem like the kind of movie that needs a sequel, It seemed like the story was...
Yeah, I agree with that because dealing with what happened in the first one, you're kind of falling on the fear of going through repetition again because what else can you really do with an action hero like that?
Right, he was a guy who was, he was just kind of living his life and trying to restart things, and the only reason he went back into that was because his daughter, and so, I don't know, I would love for it to be fun and good, but like I said, like you said, Transporter 3 and Columbiana both have terribly filmed action, and
yes.
Especially Transporter 3 is most frightening to me because Jason Statham can obviously do stunt work very well, and Oliver Megaton, or whatever his name is, made it look horrible. And when you have an actor who is really good at doing those types of stunts, and a director who makes it look so fake, that really scares me,
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Like, especially with this whole shaky handheld camera fad that's been going around in action movies, I just think it's really hit the point where people are sick of it. And most likely with him helming this movie, it's pretty much just going to be the same. But at least in Taken, it did have shaky cam, but it didn't move the camera around excessively. Like, you could still comprehend what was happening. Like, it never got too far-fetched to a point where you're just going, okay, I'm leaving. I can't figure out what's happening anymore.
Right, there are films that have shaky cam that work, namely the Bourne trilogy and Taken, and like Saving Private Ryan kind of revolutionized the whole shaky cam style. But that's where it added something to the story. The Bourne films, they felt more gritty, they felt more realistic because of that. But it wasn't just shaky cam because we're hiding the fact that we can't make good-looking action by shaking the camera around, which is kind of what like Transformers 2 did for a lot of the action. Michael Bay just had it all close up and zoomed in and shaking, and you're like, nothing's really happening. This is just some guy running down the pavement, and we're going to shake the camera a lot, and that'll make it cool. And I've always been confused by that because some of the best action movies, in regards to just flat-out action, are films that film it extremely smooth and lots of long takes, like the first Matrix film, people, like audiences, want to see action where they can comprehend that that's the actor actually doing it, first off, and that you can see like the whole thing and you can focus, and those are always the action films that people like the most, that where you can focus on what's actually happening on screen. And so I'm always confused by why people continuously do the shaky cam thing.
Yeah, I've always gone along with that too, but a recent example that did prove that right though was the Raid Redemption though too.
Yeah, the Raid Redemption, about the smoothness.
Yeah,
exactly. That you know, actors who can do their own stunts, you don't need to mask that with you don't need to mask poor stunt work with shaky cam, because in my opinion that's the only reason anyone would ever want to use shaky cam is when they're trying to hide something. Like the Hunger Games had a lot of shaky cam, and a lot of people said that was because it was the closest way they could get to portraying a gritty death scene without actually showing all the blood and still maintain a PG-13. And I feel like the only time anyone ever actually uses shaky cam anymore is just to hide the fact that they can't film whatever they're trying to portray, you know, and I agree with you on that.
really good points right there. Now back to the actual photos. Now you saw the photos that they have put out, like Entertainment Weekly, I think, was the first to release them. What do you think of them?
I mean, it's cool to see Liam Neeson in that long leather jacket, you know, behind people and stuff. And I love Liam Neeson. I'm very intrigued with what it could be. I'm so not looking forward to this man directing it, and so I really hope that he can maybe not be too self-indulgent with how he tends to make movies, and, you know, just make it more accessible. You know what I mean?
Yeah, something else I'm not too crazy about, too, is the fact that his daughter is the one that has to save him before he can even go into action. I don't like that concept really at all.
I don't really understand that concept, because she's, what, like a 17-year-old girl or something?
Well, I think she turns 17 back in the first one, back in 2009, so...
Okay. What is she gonna do?
I mean... know. Even just the way she ran several times in the first one, you can't even buy her as a serious action star.
I mean, I just saw Lockout, and Maggie Grace was in that, and I don't really feel like she's gonna be terribly... It's like the same thing with Colombiana. I mean, Zoe Saldana's... I like her, but when you see this woman who has, like, the frame of a skeleton, like, shooting a rocket launcher, it's like, yeah, I don't buy that.
I know. Like, that's one thing that I've always had a problem with her in action movies, because she's simply too skinny. Like, even for Colombiana, like, I could not buy her for 1 second as a serious action star because of that.
Right. I agree with you.
Alright, so moving on from the Taken 2 set photos, the next big news story that hit in the last week was yet another viral video for the Prometheus movie that's releasing in actually less than a month now, really coming fast, and this one's very mysterious. It has only Noomi Rapace in it, but it's a very mysterious video. It's her making this call to plead to Wayland Industries to continue with the mission, and it's very creepy for the way it's edited, because there's one left side of her, like, it's basically pixelated. She's split screened, and she's talking on both of these screens, but then one of them, it keeps on pixelating, distorting, like you see other things everywhere. It's very creepy, to say the least. But Chris, you mentioned earlier when you and I were talking about this though too, is that you said that you're avoiding the viral marketing campaign for the most part.
Yeah, there's a few films that have a lot of viral marketing that I can't help but look. Like Dark Knight Rises, basically anything that comes out of that, I'm like, I want to know right now. Like,
yeah, you and millions of others though, so you're definitely not alone on that.
Right. Like, if they release, like, say they release like one clip before that movie comes out, it will be the hardest thing I've ever had to do to not watch that clip. So
same thing
with Prometheus. I'm already very excited for it. I've seen all the trailers except for the big, like, 3-minute one or whatever. I've seen all of them except for that one.
I saw that one actually.
Okay, and I saw the first Michael Fassbender viral video, and I thought it was really cool. And I saw the Guy Pearce one too, and I like that also. But I'm just at the point now where I just want to go watch the movie, and so I'm kind of avoiding watching a lot of the marketing because I just don't want to know too much.
Yeah, I did the same thing for a couple movies already that released this year. If I'm right, The Cabin in the Woods, I did that, in which all I saw was the first trailer, didn't read any reviews, didn't watch any clips, and look at that, it's my favorite movie of the year so far.
Yeah, I didn't watch anything either for that. For the Avengers, I only watched the Scarlett Johansson chair clip.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, I went and I saw the movie, and I was very glad I didn't too, because they released the clip where Downey was talking with Loki in Stark Tower,
Yeah.
and I'm glad I didn't watch that because that was really cool. So, yeah, lately the whole thing is whenever there's a big movie like this, it's like, let's get people in the seats, get people in the seats. At this point, I already really want to be in the seat, so I'm not gonna get any more videos released that I'm gonna watch, because at this point it's just more trying to get more people to come, and I'm already gonna go. So
yeah, that's me and the Amazing Spider-Man as well, because I've watched all the trailers that have released, haven't watched any of the clips, but at the same time, like, they're releasing way too many trailers for that movie, I think, and I think it's really just hitting the point where you just need to take a breather. I think it really is in fear because of its competition it's going to have with The Dark Knight Rises, which is why it feels like it has to release something almost every week to show, hey, we're still here. The Dark Knight Rises may still be releasing, but we're coming first, so get your ticket for that. And I'm just getting kind of annoyed from all the new trailers that they're putting out for that. Especially the super trailer that they released. They built up so much hype to that. And what do we get out of that? Barely anything new.
I didn't even watch it.
Alright, like, you don't mind being, like, having a small spoiler for that, do you?
I know there's, like, a bridge scene or something. He saves somebody.
Yeah, that's
okay,
it.
I didn't watch any of it.
Yeah, everything else after that bridge scene is the last trailer that premiered in front of the Avengers. I kid you not.
Okay.
So, really kind of useless, but otherwise there's a new viral video for the Prometheus that releases in June. Go check it out if you wish, or if you want to still be surprised for the movie, even though I'm pretty sure this scene will pop up in the film. Give it a look, or just keep your anticipation at the level it's currently at. But now in the last bit of news for the Hollywood 3, which there have been a lot of screenwriting announcements actually for a lot of recent movies, but one of the bigger ones, which has to do with one of summer's biggest movies of last year, is The Rise of the Planet of the Apes, of course, has a sequel in the works, and who they tapped to write it is Scott Z. Burns, writer of Contagion from last year.
Now, I'll tell you one of the reasons why I think that's a good idea. Contagion was a movie that, while at times a little slow-paced, it really felt like scientifically and medically accurate.
Yeah,
like,
I agree with you.
I don't know if it was, but it really felt realistic. And I know that with Rise of the Planet of the Apes, the first one last year, there was quite a bit of medicine and medicinal words and all kinds of scientific crap and stuff. And with the second one, I know it's going to be a lot of this virus spreading and everything. And I feel like if you take a writer who is familiar with talking about viruses and things like that spreading from a medical standpoint, then that could give a lot of leeway to the film and make it seem a lot more accurate than if just some big summer blockbuster guy came in and wrote this. But I feel like at the same time he could make that feeling of dread of this thing, just this plague happening amongst people. Like, I think he could get the seriousness of that down too, and I feel like that's a good choice for a writer.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you said right there, especially for the fact that we pretty much have two viruses in one when compared to each other. It's a very great transition right there. Now, do you know of anything else that Scott Z. Burns has written? Because I do know of, I think, one or two other movies he has to his credit as well, which were big ones.
What do you know?
He co-wrote The Bourne Ultimatum, the finale to the original Bourne trilogy.
Ooh, very cool.
So it looks like he's got a little bit of range within his work, too. And if I'm right, he's also working with Steven Soderbergh on another project, too.
Well, I'm on his IMDb right now, and The Informant, he wrote the screenplay for that. I enjoyed that movie. I like that. But yeah, for the most part, it seems like he's been working with, except for Bourne Ultimatum, it seems like he works a lot with Steven Soderbergh. So yeah.
Well, this will be a great chance for him to broaden out his range then, for sure, with the Rise of the Planet of the Apes sequel.
Yeah, I think it's a good choice. I'm looking forward to that sequel too. I mean, I like Rise of the Planet of the Apes a lot, but I'd like this one to be a little more. What's the word? I don't know. Like, I really like the first one. I would like this one to be a little bit more dark, and not necessarily dark, but just more of a feeling of realism. Because I thought the first one was really entertaining, but I really would like more of a grounded, like I can buy into this situation more. And I feel like if you get a writer who's really good at that kind of stuff and making a situation seem real, then that could be a good possibility.
Yeah, I agree with all those points you just made. Alright, so now moving on, we move on to trailer talk now. Now, this was a pretty weak week, sorry for the repetition of words, but they both mean different things, of course. I'm sure all of you can point that out. But there haven't really been that many trailers that released in the past week compared to the week before where we had ones like Argo, Killer Joe, Gangster Squad, and so much more. We didn't really get that much this week. It was a lot more independent-oriented. But to start off, one of the first trailers to release, and I think this was out at Cannes Film Festival too, which, if I'm right, is still happening right now too. It's the Red Band trailer to the Maniac, which stars Elijah Wood, and this is a remake of a famous 1980s slasher film too. What do you think of this?
Well, I've never seen in fact, I didn't even know until you told me earlier that it was a remake, but I'm always really intrigued by Elijah Wood because he always makes really interesting choices. He's just not the actor that you can say, oh yeah, I can totally see Elijah Wood doing that. Because he's like, whether or not he's Frodo or the killer, crazy psychopath in Sin City, it's like he always makes different choices, and I like that. And so when I heard that he was going to be playing this deranged killer, I was kind of intrigued because he's just got such an innocent face. You know,
yeah, but
he just
there's
looks
something
like...
about his eyes, though, too. Like, his eyes are actually kind of menacing if you put that hand in hand, though. Like, I've noticed that in the first set photos, too.
Okay, I can kind of understand. Well, he's got these big blue eyes, so... but yeah, so when I saw the trailer, here's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid that it will just be shock value to be shock value.
Yeah.
And... because I think it could be... a pretty scary, interesting time, at least for like a midnight movie or something. I don't think it'll reach much of an audience, but I just don't want them. I love horror movies, but I'm not a fan of horror movies that are just gross to be gross, like Human Centipede and stuff. I like when a movie has some sort of a meaning behind the grotesque acts that the character is doing, and so I'm hoping that in some way there can kind of feel like, okay, I understand why this is happening, and not just, oh, look, he scalped someone. Oh, I mean, like, I get why that's so popular nowadays, because there's, like, the whole Scream crowd, and, not Scream the movies, but the whole people who love to go and see violent stuff, and they don't really care.
Yeah, the torture porn genre.
Exactly, torture porn. I can't stand that. So, if they can give a way of giving it some sort of a background besides just he's a killer, then I'm interested.
Well, back in the original, which I've read up some reviews on, a lot of them said that it's not just a slasher movie, which the original film itself has a lot of infamous violent scenes, especially one that involved a shotgun. But at the same time, besides that factor, though, a lot of them said that it was an intriguing character study, too, of, like, the man's life which is revolved around the fact that he is a killer. So I guess that's going to make the transition into the remake, too, then.
I hope so. Because that would give it some sort of a meaning behind the acts, and so, yeah, I mean, I think Elijah Wood's a very good actor. I think I think whenever he's in something, it's like, okay, there's got to be something going on here. It's not just, because he doesn't choose that many movies.
Yeah, I know. He hasn't really put out that many movies a year either. Like, it's usually every few years now with him.
Yeah.
Alright,
I'm always intrigued by what he does.
Yeah. Alright, so now moving on to the next trailer is The Words, which stars Bradley Cooper in the role of an author yet again. So all you Limitless fans, like, it may not be the thriller that you'd expect like that, but in this he plays an author in which he's struggling to find another book to write. But in the trailer he ends up plagiarizing another person's work and he sells it in his name, and he must cope with the fact that he must admit to his fault, but he can't figure out how. So what'd you think of this?
Well, it was funny because I was watching the trailer earlier, and about halfway through, I was like, is he going to get the Limitless pills now?
I know, that's what I was thinking. When I saw the trailer for this movie, I was going, does it have something to do with Limitless again?
Yeah. It's like he's like a struggling writer, and he can't figure out what to do, and then he meets this guy. I'm like, is he about to hand him the pills? I mean, what's that? So, I'm pessimistic about that movie. I don't really know. I feel like I tend to be an optimistic person, but I feel like it looks like it could have something simply because of the star power involved with it.
Yeah, I know. It's got a lot of great actors in it besides Cooper. Like, there is Zoe Saldana, which she's very here and there with the movies that she's in, but also starring it is Dennis Quaid, Olivia Wilde, J.K. Simmons, one of the most underrated actors in the business. and also the famous Jeremy Irons is in it as well. Like, I think that's the main thing that the movie can get past is the star power. But what I'm really getting from the trailer alone is that it kind of looks like a Lifetime movie as well.
Mm-hmm. There's something a little bit just... the thing about trailers lately, I just don't trust trailers at all anymore. I mean,
know, like,
it just seems like so many trailers nowadays, they're just whatever they think will get their demographic in the theater, you know? And then you go and you're like, that was nothing like that. And you're like, well, that trailer sucked, you know? And it's not until after you see the movie that you realize how much the trailer sucked.
Yeah, I know. I got that same feeling, too, most of the time. Now, what are your takes on Bradley Cooper as a serious actor, though? Because he hasn't really had that many movies to show that off. Like, in fact, I can't even really think of one. Like, can you?
I mean, Limitless is, like, the one movie where people were... But the thing is, his character... I don't know, like, he still had that Bradley Cooper...
Yeah, he did.
You know, like that vibe
when
where
he was
he's
on the
kind
pill,
of...
he had that.
Say that again?
When he was on the pill in the movie, he did have that Bradley Cooper feeling, of course.
Yeah, he just had that I'm cool vibe. I'm cool. I'm hot. I'm good looking. Like, I just want to see him... I don't know. I don't really buy him that much as a serious actor, and I feel like... I'm not saying he's a bad actor.
I'm not either.
He's not. There's something about him in his roles that I always see Bradley Cooper. I need to see him do a role where I forget that that's Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, I know. Just the one thing is I don't think he's going to really reach that height sometime because essentially, even since Wedding Crashers all the way back, even before The Hangover, he's pretty much been playing Bradley Cooper as well.
Yeah, my biggest compliment to an actor is when you're like, you forget that you're watching, you know, Guy Pearce or Tom Cruise or Harrison Ford or whatever, and you realize then you're watching a character now. You know, you're not just watching that actor, you're actually watching a character that you really love on film. And, like, when I watch the Star Wars movies, yes, that is Harrison Ford, but I feel like I am watching Han Solo, and that's what I'm talking about. I need to see Bradley Cooper do a performance where he is his character. Like, he's not... You forget that he is who he is.
Yeah, well, this will pretty much be his make or break then as a serious actor.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, and now moving on to our final trailer, which coincidentally is another one that stars Bradley Cooper, is the one for Hit and Run, which is actually the writing and directorial feature-length debut of Dax Shepard, too, who's also starring in the movie, too. It stars him and Kristen Bell as this, like, so-called goody two-shoes couple, I guess, but then one of Dax Shepard's old friends, some... white gangster played by Bradley Cooper, which I think I'd actually use the word gangster in a light sense when saying Bradley Cooper stars in the role. But otherwise, besides that, he ropes Dax Shepard back into another crime because they used to be bank robbers in which Dax Shepard was the getaway driver for them. And he wants to rope him into another job, but that, of course, complicates the relationship, too. What'd you think of this?
I didn't really like it that much.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't like it much either. Like, it all just looks all too conventional.
Yeah, here's the thing about Dax Shepard. I'm not a huge fan.
Same thing.
I don't find him that funny, but at the same time, he just comes off as a dick in, like, every movie. He's putting his girlfriend in it, Kristen Bell.
Yeah, fiance, actually.
Fiance, okay, well, and they've been in so much together, and I'm like, I just always feel like, okay, well, yeah, your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, hey, we get it. It's just, I don't know, and I don't find him very funny. The trailer did look conventional, like you said. I didn't laugh one time during the trailer. Yeah, I'm not too excited for that movie.
Yeah, the only thing that the trailer did for me is that I realized that Tom Arnold still surprisingly has a career.
Oh, that's true. That's true. When he came on, I was like, yeah, he was in the Reviewers Awards.
Yeah. I can't even remember the last feature-length movie that he starred in, or like the last True Lies, yeah.
No, I don't know. I didn't laugh, and for a trailer, it just seemed like, I don't know, I'm so sick of that whole comedy trailer thing where let's show a funny joke and then put in a pop song that we all recognize. I'm sick of the whole, it just seems so run-of-the-mill.
Yeah, I know, that's what I began off. I was really kind of getting irritated by the camera work in some of the scenes too, because it all looks really handheld. Like, there were some points where I actually had some trouble already pinpointing what was happening too.
Okay.
Which, that's already a bad sign for me going into a movie and already having that perception of it.
Yeah.
So otherwise, yeah, Hit and Run. it's there. Go check it out against your own will right there, because we both didn't think it was that good. But now we move on to the centerpiece of the show, which is Rate the Release, which there were three theatrical releases that came out, which were The Dictator, Battleship, and What to Expect When You're Expecting. Now, of course, being the guy that I am, I did not want to see What to Expect When You're Expecting, so we're going to put that aside, but we're going to review both Battleship and The Dictator, so we're going to kick it off with Battleship first. Chris, would you like to tell the lovely viewers what this little movie's about?
They are lovely. Yeah, I'll talk to you about Battleship. Battleship is based off of the Hasbro board game.
Well, I should say very loosely based, actually.
Well, I mean, that's really the only way you can base a movie off of a board game is loosely. Because everything except for the fact that there's battleships in it is...
Well, there's only one scene that is literally has to do with Battleship.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, but basically it's based off the Hasbro board game loosely, and it's got a whole bunch of Navy battleships, and there's this guy, Taylor Kitsch from John Carter, who's a burnout. You know, he's not very successful. He's in the military now. Somehow, even though he's just about to get kicked out of the Navy, I'm sorry, I said military. He's in the Navy. Somehow he's just about to get kicked out, and yet he's like 2 steps away from being a captain, which I don't buy at all.
Yeah, same thing.
But anyway, aliens come down to Earth for whatever reason, and they wreak havoc, and there's Navy in the ocean, and they're the only thing in between the aliens and destroying Earth, basically.
Yep, there you go right there. As simple as most of the blockbusters plots today get. Now, me, on the other hand, I actually just saw this movie today, and I was kind of surprised. The fact that this movie made only $9 million on Friday, it kind of surprised me at the showing that I went to today, because it was nearly 3/4 full for the first matinee, which kind of surprised me a little bit. But putting that aside, like, I was really, really not looking forward to this movie. The fact that this was trying to say that it was based off Battleship in the first place just really pissed me off, because how can you seriously turn this into a film? But literally, what do you know? You get 2 writers and a director that literally take the Michael Bay movie-making guide for dummies and they turn it into this. That's pretty much the best way to sum it up.
Pretty much, yeah. I understand that you pretty much hated the movie. I didn't like it. I thought it was just, very, very, very mediocre, and from the standpoint of an action movie, a summer action movie. And Peter Berg is a director who is very hit and miss for me anyway. I liked The Rundown with The Rock. I liked that movie. I haven't seen all of his movies, but I didn't like Hancock. But with Peter Berg, I just feel like there was a tad more comprehension in regards to the way the action scenes were filmed in regards to in comparison to like Transformers 2. I could tell a little bit more what was going on. It seemed like they were trying to make something a little bit more realistic, but it has all that same stuff that Michael Bay and Roland Emmerich and all that stuff has, like where every 2 seconds there has to be some big moment where some guy steps up and the audience claps and yay, patriotism. And
that was so excessive in the last 30 minutes of the film too.
Mm-hmm. And I just feel like with something so flimsy as based off of a board game, my biggest problem really with the movie was why Battleship. I mean, it could have been anything other than Battleship, and people would have taken it more seriously. But the fact that they call it Battleship, and it's endorsed through Hasbro and everything, just makes it another Transformers marketing scheme. I mean, Hasbro, the president of Hasbro is probably like looking through all of his games right now, like, what's the next big one we could do? Because I mean, Transformers is Hasbro as well, and it just feels so cash grabby,
I know, that's the vibe I was getting when this movie was even announced.
Mm-hmm.
Now, unlike you said that Peter Berg is hit and miss with some of the films. Now, have you seen these two? I'm going to give you 2 other films that he's directed that I actually really like. Have you seen Friday Night Lights?
No, and I know that everyone says that's his best.
Yeah, I agree that one is his best. Now, how about The Kingdom?
No.
Alright, that one's actually pretty good. Like, its reviews were mixed, but I think it's one of the most underrated action films from the last decade or so. From like
with Jamie Foxx and Jessica Biel, right?
Jennifer Garner, actually.
Jennifer Garner, my bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was actually a good action film. Like, I like some of his movies. Like, I don't think Peter Berg's a great director by any means, but he has a knack for entertaining movies for the most part. Like, he has a keen eye most of the time for making movies that deliver on the entertainment factor and nothing more, but Friday Night Lights is the exception because that was a very serious film for the most part. However, for Battleship, I can't say that I completely blame him, but I think it's really more on the script writing of the film because like it's included with all the things that you'd expect from a Michael Bay movie pretty much, which is excessive patriotism, horrendous dialogue, and very bad moments of humor. Like, let me tell you, the first scene with the character Alex Hopper, which is the famous chicken burrito bit, I honestly was face-palming during that bit. I thought it was so bad.
I didn't laugh, yeah. I didn't laugh when he was... that's really the whole thing is, let's get some laughs. And when Taylor Kitsch is on screen, I just don't buy him. He's just like, she wants a chicken burrito. I'm going to get her a chicken burrito. You give her a chicken burrito, or I'm going to go over there and I'm going to get it for her. It's like, dude, no one talks like that. Just talk normal. I don't know. I don't buy him as an actor.
Yeah, that's the problem I have with Taylor Kitsch. He has absolutely zero charisma with anyone he stars in a movie with because his voice tone is just so monotone and flat and reminds you so much of Christian Bale's Batman voice all the time. You just can't simply buy him as a hero for 1 second. Like, of course, the only thing that you can really say as an argument is that he has the physical build for one. Just he has zero personality on screen, though.
Right, I agree.
Now, in the supporting cast, though, Liam Neeson, as expected, was totally wasted in his role. Like, of course he was good in the stuff that he did, but, I don't know, maybe it was like 3 or 4 scenes at the absolute most that he's in. And, now, what'd you think of Rihanna? I think if I remember correctly, you said you hated her performance.
I thought she was very bad in the movie, and like I said, script-wise, too. I mean, like you said, script-wise, the script is just not anything special, and it's Battleship, though. And the thing that I said in my review is that if you're just your average audience member who doesn't care about critic reviews, who doesn't listen to what people have to say about movies, and you see the trailer for Battleship and you think, I'm going to go see that movie, and you are going to probably go watch Battleship and 100% not be disappointed whatsoever. And you'll leave and you'll be so happy. But it's just when you're kind of people like you and I who care about how the movies we see.
We care much more than the entertainment.
Right. It's not gonna do it for you, probably. At the very most, you'll leave and think, well, at least I wasn't bored. You know what I mean? It's so simple, and let's just find all these things that we can explode, and it's just very run-of-the-mill film for me. I didn't hate it. I felt like, okay, I can at least watch this movie, and there are some fun scenes, but yeah, Rihanna, nice to look at, she sucked.
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought she sucked as well. In fact, one other person I know, of course, Victor, of course, the frickin' film critic, I think he coined Rihanna's performance in the best way by calling her a pun machine. Because all that she really serves in the movie, besides like shooting guns and stuff, is just saying these quippy one-liners every time before she's about to kill something.
Right.
And they're all so poorly written, and it makes it bad enough that her line delivery is so unconvincing in those parts too.
Yeah, and I'm really getting sick of people cutting off the mother F word with like a gunshot or something.
Oh yeah.
Very fun. They do it twice in that movie.
They did it twice in the A-Team as well, if I remember.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? No, I'm just so sick of that. It's like, he actually said the mother F word, but they cut it off. I mean, it's like they're trying to be hardcore and stuff, and then they edit it. It's like, if you're gonna just go for it, if you're gonna go for it.
Yeah, go for it. Like, when you have a PG-13 movie, you can say it at least once. Just go ahead and do it. Like, there's nothing stopping you.
Well, you can't say that one. You can't say that one at all. If you say mother F.
Oh, yeah. Right. You got a point. You got to take out the mother part for that.
Right. So it's just dumb. I don't like when it's just silly to me. I'm so tired of the cut off a cuss word with a sound effect. It's not funny.
Yeah, I agree right there. So overall, if you've of course been listening to our thoughts for this, Battleship definitely not a good film. Well, Chris, you said you found some enjoyment in it. I tried, but I just couldn't. Like, I pretty much hated everything about the film as I kind of expected it to. Even though, I'll admit, I tried giving it a chance, but the fact that it just followed all those tropes of all the typical summer blockbusters that we get every year, it just got on my nerves to the point that I just couldn't accept it for anything more than just a really dumb, loud explosion fest, and those movies just aren't my cup of tea.
Yeah, that's totally... I mean, I basically... The only reason I said that it was okay is because it was basically exactly what I expected.
Yeah.
And I also try to think of... I try to think of, like, what really are they going for when I review a movie, and I try not to review it on the, you know, the basis of all the things that, you know, a movie could have done to be better, because maybe they weren't even attempting to be better, you know. And so when I saw Battleship, I'm like, it's freaking Battleship.
Yeah.
You know, it's mediocre. It's average for me. It's not a movie I ever want to see again. But like I said, if you are interested in seeing it and you really actually want to see it, I'm sure you'll enjoy it.
Well, there you go, right there. So now, with Battleship out of the way right there, you can go check that out against your own will. Like, it all depends on your expectations going into it. But moving on to the last release that we're going to review is Sacha Baron Cohen's latest, The Dictator.
Yeah, I think you liked it a little more than me.
Yeah, so just to give our viewers a little outline of the plot for this movie, it's Sacha Baron Cohen doing another one of these very crazy, racist, like literally anti-everything characters, which they go all for shock value for just saying the most out there and wrong things that there are when in public with other people. And his latest one, which it's not in mockumentary form, which was one of my biggest fears going into the film, in which he plays a actually, let me take that back, Admiral General Aladdin, who is a dictator of this fictional North African country called Wadiya, and he's using his oil wealth to produce nuclear weapons, which stirs up international relations with the United States and so much more. So he has to come to the United Nations in New York City to give a speech on the issue. However, he gets roped into this failed assassination plot where he loses his beard, and now he has to try to find some way in order to get back to the UN to give the speech. Now, I am a Sacha Baron Cohen fan. I really liked Borat. I didn't see Bruno. I only saw clips of it here and there. And his other character, Ali G, I love watching clips of that character on YouTube all the time. It's one of his best ones without a doubt. So I was looking forward to this movie, just the trailers weren't really doing it for me, and also for the fact that everything was scripted, despite the points where you can point out Sacha Baron Cohen's improvisation. It just really worried me that it just wouldn't have that same shock value effect. However, in the end, like, it worked for me. Like, I thought it was a pretty funny movie. Just the one problem that I had with it the most was that there were jokes that stretched on for too long, and also that the supporting cast is pretty much useless because this is Sacha Baron Cohen's movie 100%.
Yeah, I agree about the supporting cast thing, because I think Anna Faris can be really funny. And
I agree with that, too.
Yeah, she's pretty much wasted in the movie. I mean, she's just there to react to Sacha Baron Cohen, basically.
Yeah,
and
her haircut creeped the hell out of me, too.
She wasn't good looking in that one. But yeah, I like Sacha Baron Cohen also. I think he's really talented. I think he's a really good actor and comedian. I thought he was terrific in Hugo. I thought he was just great, and I really like the announcements I'm hearing about him playing Freddie Mercury of Queen.
I can't wait for that. Like, if you really look closely at him, he looks really a lot like him, too.
Yeah, he's got the build. He's got the the broad shoulders and everything. He's got the build for Queen, and I think that he could be great. And, we've seen him play a gay man before, too, so...
Yeah.
But I like Sacha Baron Cohen. I think that, I think he's a good actor. This movie, my main problem with it was, it seemed like it was confused about how much can it be like Bruno and Borat, where
I agree.
Where it's a prank, and how much can it be scripted? And it felt, and I didn't. It just was. I had pretty much the same feelings I did as the Battleship. It was, for me, it was very average, and I didn't laugh as much as I would have liked to. There were definitely scenes where I laughed, in the movie. It was kind of hit and miss for me, and I didn't find his character as funny as some of his previous characters, and something about the film just didn't really. It's not that I was offended by anything. It's so hard to offend me. Like,
I know, same thing. You have to try so hard trying to offend me too.
Yeah, so I mean, it didn't bother me or anything. It's just after a while, I think I said in my review, after the 15th black joke, it's just not funny anymore.
Yeah,
I didn't laugh at any more of them.
That was one of my problems, as I said before, too. Like, there were a lot of recurring jokes in the film that they just got really old fast. Especially one of the particular ones as well was the fact that he calls Anna Faris' character a boy all the time. And by the fourth or fifth joke is where you're going, okay, you can move on to something else. You just can't hinge off of that for the entire time with all these other ones you're trying to convey.
Right, I agree. And it just seemed like, it just felt like a very quick just movie that was just kind of shot out of there. And it's like, I don't know, it's like 75 or 80 minutes long or something. It just seemed like nothing terribly, like I just saw it, I was like, okay, I'll never see that again. Probably forget that in a couple months. It's just, I just feel like I'll never really ever think about that movie or remember it ever again.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've been thinking about too, is how much I'm going to remember it after I've seen it. Like, in fact, if you didn't see in my review, I actually, they had a college tour bus for the movie that did a tour across the southwestern United States, and its last stop was my college on Thursday, actually. And I ended up winning one of the fake beards that they have in the raffle. So,
nice.
It's
funny. I watched a clip of Borat, a deleted scene from Borat on YouTube this morning, and it was him in a supermarket, and this guy is this manager there, and he's going down an aisle filled with nothing but cheese, asking the manager what each product is. He's like, what is this? The guy's like, it's cheese. What is this? That's cheese. He does it for 5 minutes, and the guy was patient enough to listen to everything he had to say, and I honestly laughed more in that 5 minutes than I did throughout the entirety of The Dictator.
Interesting.
And that was a deleted scene, so
yeah.
That kind of gives you my thoughts on Dictator. It just felt like it just wasn't as funny as it thought it was, I think, for me, anyway.
Yeah, for me, like, I think it could have been funnier if it went more for the satirical element that it had going for it, because it was essentially a parody of Middle Eastern dictators, like the character itself was, but it felt like they really lost touch with that after he left Wadia and went to the United States, and they never really returned to that much for the rest of the film, because if you look back on a lot of Baron Cohen's previous comedic work, there's that satirical element that really adds an extra element of innovation to whatever he's trying to convey, and I just felt that was really lacking in this.
Yeah, it seemed like they tried to kind of do that in the last couple scenes where he had like a 5-minute rant on democracy.
Yeah.
And I didn't really, there was a couple points he made, I was like, that's kind of funny, but then after a while I was just like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, so overall, we're both split on our viewpoints of The Dictator. However, that's pretty much the same that the movies had going for it, which people have either just liked it or just been in the middle, so we pretty much fit both of those demographics right there. But check out The Dictator. It just recently released on a Wednesday, actually. I think it was to avoid competition with Battleship, but then again, if they were both released that day, it wouldn't have been that much of a competition anyway. But
yeah.
Otherwise, go check those movies out if you have any interest in them, and that actually brings us to the end of the show. And so, Chris, where can we find you on YouTube and so forth?
Well, first off, I just want to say thanks for inviting me to your podcast. I had fun. I'd be happy to come back anytime. You can find me at youtube.com/Chris Stuckmann with 2 N's. I do movie reviews just like Tyler does. So thanks a lot for having me.
Yeah, no problem. And so for me, of course, you can find me on youtube.com/CaliCriticReviews. You also find me on Twitter at CaliCritic, and also follow my page on Facebook as well, which is Tyler Christian, and then in parentheses, CaliCriticReviews. And then I also have my own website, CaliCriticsCorner.blogspot.com, which I'm trying so hard to get back into writing full-time, just I haven't really had the time to. But who knows, maybe after this I'll write up a review for Battleship, but then again, I don't really have any motivation to do that, so I take that back. But otherwise, I hope all you enjoyed listening to the second episode of Film Freaks Podcast. Next week, I'm going to have Brant Stone from Film Recall come on board as we're going to review Men in Black 3 and break down the latest trailers, movie news, and so forth. So, in the meantime, I'm Tyler from CaliCriticReviews.
And I'm Chris Stuckmann from Chris Stuckmann. So, thanks for having me on.
You're very welcome, and tune in next week to another episode of Film Freaks. Goodbye.